What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mongols Pregame'n Edition. This is where we spend a few minutes chatting with the team prior to the next match. Joining me for this one is a gritty player who has switched positions and quickly evolved into a dominant ball-playing center back, earning himself USL Team of the Week awards along the way. It is Luke Biasi. Luke, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is your third year in Pittsburgh. How are you settling into the city?
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought that I would end up here or stay here this long, but being here for 3 years now, it's finally starting to feel like a little bit like a home. I'm starting to learn the little ins and outs of certain suburbs and high schools around the areas, and I'm just starting to feel a little more like a local. I'm knowing what restaurants are good, where I want to go, where I want to eat. But yeah, overall, it's a really cool city, and I like being here.
What's your favorite place to get some food?
Um, Everyday noodles in Squirrel Hill.
Nice.
Some
That's a really
amazing
good shout.
dumplings, homemade right there. You see them making it behind the counter. So good.
Yeah, that's a really good shout. Um, I've been meaning to ask somebody, and I was like, I think you're the guy to ask. So one thing that the league really seems to be focusing on this season is sort of the walk-ups to the stadium and getting pictures of you guys all dressed up before you come to the game. Your outfits always seem to be on point. Do you feel any pressure knowing that there's somebody waiting for you at the stadium to take your picture as you're walking in?
I mean, for me, definitely, I don't think really any pressure. I think for me, I don't like, as ironic as it is, I don't really like pictures of me being taken. So walking up, it can be like a little bit like uncomfortable, but you kind of just have to figure out what works for you, act natural. Just know they're going to take a picture for you. But going into those walk ups, I think it's kind of a cool way for the league to be able to show a different side other than just soccer, So it's able to get more people intrigued. You see people's fashion senses, so I think it just makes it more of a dynamic thing. But for me, I'm a big thrift shopper person. I'm a big clearance section. So when I'm shopping in stores, it's more just like, oh, that looks cool. I wonder if I can put it with this. So I'm not overthinking any outfits or overthinking the walk-ups. So definitely not any pressure, but I do enjoy fashion and style and just kind of looking good and trying new things.
Do you find yourself like looking at an outfit on game day and going like, did I wear that already? Do they have a picture of that? Or are you just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna whatever looks good, I'm gonna wear that and go with it.
Sometimes, I mean, majority, I mean, there's only what, like 17 home games. So I think I can find 17 different shirts or outfits. But yeah, definitely if I'm like, did I already wear that? Or like, I can't wear that again. Let me go with this. Or honestly, even you can just share somebody else's clothes on the team, and it
Yeah,
looks completely different on you.
for sure. Yeah. Who would you say has the best style on the team?
Actually, I was thinking about this one. Sleeper pick, I think it would have to be Alal Usmanu because
Ooh,
I
okay.
don't know where he gets the shorts or pants or shirts from, but he always pulls them out, and a lot of times they're unique. But I think if I were to to wear some of the stuff he wears, it would not work. But he pulls it off. He looks nice in them every time.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good shout. I like that. Um, I mentioned you sort of made a pretty big switch from being a wing back to a center back this season. How did that all come about?
Um, I honestly don't think anyone really expected it, especially me. Especially after coming off last season, I had a pretty good year, and then
Hmm.
obviously I had the sports hernia and surgery at the end of the year and got that all fixed up. So I was kind of excited to come to this year completely healthy. Um, and then I kind of tweaked my hamstring a little bit at the beginning of the year. So I was planning on maybe not even playing in the first game. And Bob said he wanted me there for maybe 20 to 30 minutes off the bench. I was like, all right, we can do that. And then when we got there, one of our center backs got hurt and he wanted to sub me on at halftime. And I didn't really know if my hamstring would make it. And I went in and I did very well. And I don't know, I don't think any of us were ever expecting it. But I think I just have been here for so long and I understand what Bob wants. I understand the system. I understand the press. I can tell people where to go. I've kind of come into more of a leadership role on the team. Um, so I think just being a versatile player, having a mind for the game has made me kind of excel in the position. But definitely never anything that was planned or expected. It kind of just happened and we kind of just run with it. It was we needed me at the time and it worked out.
Listen, I think there's a lot of advantages to having someone with your skill set playing sort of center back. You know, you've been in positions where you've had to be more attacking. but you understand the game in a way that makes you very versatile, and you can make a good pass, which is great. Which of the two positions do you prefer? Like, if you had to pick wing back or center back, which would you go with?
If I had to pick, I think I would probably go wing back. Just me being more of a natural attacking player, or just liking more action in the game in those moments, or being able to, I guess, have more freedom to dribble. With center back, a lot of times there's moments where you can dribble, and yes, I do. With my skill set, I can get into those little half spaces and create overloads, and I'm not afraid to take space, where as other center backs probably would be, because it's just not natural to them. Um, but for me, yeah, it's a little more just defensive, and I think sometimes I have to hold myself back from wanting to go forward or jump the gun. But then it also does come in handy in late game situations, or when we're down a goal, or when we need certain things. But I think if I were to pick between the two, I would prefer to stay more attacking with a wingback.
That makes sense. I mentioned in the intro sort of your grittiness. You never really seem to shy away from a tackle. I'm just curious. You mentioned some injuries late last season, things like that. Off a typical game day, do you tend to like bounce right back and wake up Monday morning and you're like, I feel great? Or do you have like a routine where it's like, I got an ice bath and like recover in a way that gets you ready for the next weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a routine. Yeah, I definitely don't feel great after game days. Um, even directly after the game, usually my stomach gets really cramped up, so I go straight to the bar at Highmark and grab a ginger ale, try to settle the
Mm.
stomach a little bit, and then the next day, yeah, I'll definitely go for a foam roll stretch, do a little biking, because I feel like I've learned that if you get your body moving rather than just laying down all day, it tends to kind of flush out some lactic acid and you feel better. Um, and oddly enough, usually it's like not the day after that you feel the worst. It's 2 days after where I think all of it kind of
Mm.
kicks in and hits you. So those Mondays are usually the worst. But I think once you get to a certain point in the season, you kind of just get used to it, and you kind of built up this regime to be able to just sustain it and keep going. So at this point in the year, not struggling too hard after game days. Just looking forward to the next week.
Yeah. This past week in Indy, the team and really you in particular seemed to sort of leave it all on the field. I mean, you guys were down to 10 men, you had to battle really hard. Just sort of talk us through what was going through your mind from, Pat getting sent off to then you guys went up 1-0, and then, the ref kept delaying the game to the point that, they ended up getting the late goal. Just how were you feeling through that whole thing?
Yeah, it was one of those things where we're at this final season, the end of the season stretch, and we know we need results, and we know every game is super important. And I think that's why we've been on such a good run, just because everyone's so locked in and focused and knows the importance of each game, each action. So I think everyone was kind of amped and pumped to go into this game, and like, all right, Indy last time they beat us, but I think we had the dominant performance over them, even though we just gave up a couple goals and lost. So just like that first 4 minutes, he gets the red card, and immediately, the whole game is just going to be different. You know that you're going to be chasing, you're going to be fighting. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. I mean, being down a man with 85 minutes still to go is never a situation you want to be in. But I think the way we performed just shows our resilience. No matter how much they wanted to possess, no matter how much they wanted to pass around, I think we limited chances. I think we kept up our press. I think we still had urgency. And then second half started, and I knew we kind of had to start applying pressure, because I mean, we obviously didn't want to settle with a draw. We wanted as many wins as possible at this point. So I started bombing forward a little bit, and Bob was yelling at me from the sideline. He's like, "You need to pace yourself. You need to pace yourself." I'm like, "We also need to score. We need to score." So that's why by the end of the game, I was just dead. I could barely move anymore, and they had to take me off. And I think it was also a little bit of time to waste time.
Yeah.
But I think getting the goal, it was like, yes, we did it. We got the goal. All we need to do is sit this in, finish this game out. And then obviously it didn't end the way we wanted to. We saw 4 minutes on the 4 minutes additional time. We're like, all right, we can get through this. And then I think I got subbed off in the 93rd and 94th. So I'm like, all right, it's got to be 30 seconds a minute. And then they don't end up giving the free kick until 6 minutes after. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then they score the free kick in 97. So it was just a heartbreaker. But I think at the same time, too, as bad as it felt, it's not something that we honestly, I wouldn't really even say it's something we have to bounce back from, because if anything, I think it just lifts us even higher, knowing that we could compete in a game like that with 10 men for the majority of the game and still us feel like we should have won that game.
Yeah, it's really funny. I was having a conversation the other night with some fans from Rhode Island, and they were like, I think you guys are going to be at a disadvantage because you're not going to have Pat Hogan from the red card. And I'm like, we were just in Indy and played an entire game with 10 men and should have won it. So I'm not totally concerned about that. But I am curious. Obviously, Chico, Marky Barra coming back to Pittsburgh this weekend. How are you guys feeling heading into Saturday?
I think that just makes it more of a competitive edge. Obviously, we know what Mark and Deco can bring to the table. They were important players on our team, and obviously we grew really close to them and have good relationships with them. But I think that also just makes it almost like a brotherly competition, and those are the ones that you always want to win even more, rather than just being in competition with someone you don't really know. But I think we're feeling good. I think we know that Rhode Island's on a hot streak right now, same as us. I think they only have one loss in the last 13, and we have 0 losses in the last 9. So we're both coming in hot. We had a no draw the first game we played them. So yeah, this week we've just been focusing on kind of how they're gonna play and how we want to counteract it, and we're just focused on tactics. And I think it's an exciting matchup. It's kind of like, all right, who's gonna get the edge? Is it gonna be Pittsburgh, or is it gonna be the guys who left? So I think we're excited.
Good, good, good. Well, Luke, I want to be respectful of your time. I really appreciate the conversation. This was great. Best of luck this week against Rhode Island. Here's hoping you guys can keep Chico off the board and get another 50 points.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Really excited for this weekend, and you have a good one. I'll see you this weekend.